Slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, it's not better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take me on. I'll be gone in your
There was a time you and I get faded together on the floor so high, and I stayed there forever. You took the high road, I took the bottle, a little taste of freedom. But I got the feeling that I'll be needing somebody I can lean on. When I'm drunk and out of my own, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, when I'm down at the end of my road, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, 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 oh. When I'm down at the end of my road, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, oh, oh. There was a time you and I get faded together. That was then, but I know we're still birds of a feather. You took the high road, I took the bottle. I'm never gonna slow down. The lights are coming on, playing the final song, and I just need to know now. When I'm drunk and out of my own, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, when I'm down at the end of my road, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. When I'm down at the end of my road, you carry me home, carry me home. Oh, oh, oh. You carry me home. When I'm down at the end, oh, I know you'll carry me home, carry me home. Oh, oh, oh. That must be what you are. Waiting for a star to fall and carry your heart into my arms. That's where you belong, in my arms, baby. Yeah.
Sure.
It's first up, you guys. Good morning. Everyone was extra chatty today. Sorry, we're getting started late. We have a couple of directions. If you've never met Robbi in life, she's here this week. We're so happy she's here. If you're on Zoom, you should be here meeting Robbi. She's going to be here all week working, and she'll be at the picnic on Friday. So we're going to try to do a better job of having her around more. Yes, we do love her. She could move across the country, and we're like, you're not like leaving us, though, right? Like, no, and it works great. Good. I know it works really well. We talk about 20 times a day, every day. So Robbi's always available to help you guys. Even Joe goes, "Whoa, Robbi's working all the time, huh?"
Yeah, I do.
Right.
I'm here for you guys. It's
we love it. And when agents get paid right, everyone's happy, right? No delays. I joke she has one of those jobs that when she does it perfectly, just nobody complains. So it's like not as gratifying as other roles, but like the fact that everyone gets paid, not mistakes, quickly, everyone does appreciate that. So thank you, Robbi.
Here.
And then next up, this is Nick Hunter, my new executive assistant replacing Sydney. He started yesterday. So welcome to Nick. And he came from Keller Williams, Del Rey, right? Del Mar in San Diego area. So we are happy he's here. He was an agent there. He was on the Keller Williams staff at one point there. So his wife is from Portland area. So they just moved here like 3 days ago. We're trying not to scare him. I know we're all a lot, right? But me mostly, I guess I meant in that. But we're happy you're here. So Nick has a wealth of knowledge about real estate, about Keller Williams culture. And so he'll be able to pick right up with a lot of just like the operations of the office and helping you guys with things that you need. So we're rocking and rolling. We're full staffed. We have our picnic this week. What else? Today's Realtor Day. Street of Dreams. And we have, so Daryl Bodle's team has 2 separate properties. They're both in Northeast Portland. One of them is like St. John's, and they are like the featured middle housing segment that like the theme of Street of Dreams this year is like everybody has a dream. So it doesn't have to be all the high-end luxury. But Veronica's, which a lot of us went to, is one of the more high-end luxury houses here in Lake Oswego. So if you are planning to go out today, even though there's no charge, you still have to register and put your license number in and stuff. So do that. I know I was talking to Veronica. She said that there's going to be like people barbecuing and Stoller Wine's going to be pouring at her. So I don't know, because Street of Dreams is so different this year and spread out. Like, I don't know if each of the houses are going to have things. We'll just have to see, but we're going to go out, cruise around, especially support our agents and go. There's another Renaissance one in Lake Oswego. There's some high-end condos in Lake Oswego. And there's one in Sherwood. So even if you just go, there's a few just right around here. Then there's another luxury one in Hillsborough and some in Bethany area. So they're all over. I might not hit all of them, but a lot of us are going to go out. So if anyone wants to, I joked, I said my car holds 8. Let's jump in with us. We're cruising, but I think it's really cool to support our agents, and it's great to see just different design finishes and the staging, and they all we'll have the partners and things like that, so you can kind of get ideas for contractors and things too. And then what else? On Wednesday, tomorrow, we have a great week. We have a CE class sponsored by Environmental Works, and recently, some of the laws and regulations have changed around like things you have to disclose and like radon, and especially tanks. So this is an important class. They said they've been really busy teaching this class because it's things people need to know. So that will be tomorrow. Register if you can. It just makes it easier for CE certificates and lunch, but you don't have to register. Just show up if you want. 11 to 12 in this room. And that should be a good one. And then Friday is our picnic. So I sent the reminder out last Friday, and a lot of people RSVP'd, which is exciting. We just booked a photo booth now. We have a photo booth, cornhole, fortune tellers, face painters who can also do airbrush tattoos on adults. a magician / balloon animal artist, both. And we might put Dwight in a dunk tank. Just kidding. That would be an extra.
We should do that.
Bocce ball, yes, they have bocce ball, good wine, good food, so
Good
many
people.
things. Good people. Robbi will be here, and you can bring your whole family, bring your significant other, your kids. It's a really good time, and like we try to do all the entertaining things so that everyone can be entertained and just have a great time. And it's one of the few times a year we all come together, and we try to make it a little fancier than your average, just like picnic at the park. So
We do.
yeah, hope to see you guys all there. We'll miss Joe. Joe's already had a vacation booked, so I said next year, Joe. We'll miss Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, so then last month the ALC we had done the buyer consultation and the seller consultation or listing presentation role plays after these meetings, and we got really good feedback. So the ALC is going to continue that. So that's Jenny and Pam and Laura on their team, on their ALC committees. So next Tuesday, we're going to do, is it buyers or sellers next week? Or we don't know.
They have it.
To be determined.
So yeah.
To be determined. It will either be the buyer consultation again or listing, but specifically around how our conversations are changing with the landscape. And Joe's going to talk a little bit more about that too, but it's going to be more important than ever just to stay on top of what your conversations are looking like. Laura did such a great job, was that last week, of just being so normal and calm and collected about like how she spoke about the compensation and the different scenarios. So we should all be really confident in that, and then it won't make it a weird thing, right? So you don't have to sign up, you just have to stay for that. We can, yeah. So with all these changes coming up August 17th, the theme of the month is this is the theme.
Joe.
It's Joe. Welcome. So Joe's gonna do a deep dive into the buyer representation agreement. I know Kelly went through that once, the newer one, and there were a lot more fillable fields than there had been in previous versions. So come to this. Is there a sign up or no? You just show up Thursday, the 15th at 10 a.m. So that weekend, Saturday is the 17th. So it's like, you should know what you're doing by the end of that week. So, and we're going to be talking about this a lot, in I say the upcoming weeks, but it's really like not that far away, week and a half. Right. So, that will be a great class, especially because even if you were using the buyer representation agreement, the new one has some different fields. Do you want to add anything on that form specifically?
Oh, you've got the exclusive and you got the different versions now. So yeah, we'll just go through the verbiage one by one. Obviously, this is to protect you and your relationship with your client, whether you're have an exclusive agreement or non-exclusive agreement, that you're just working for them for 1 day or 1 hour. So we'll go through and we'll do some scenarios and role playing on that a little bit too.
Love it. All right. August birthdays. Happy birthday to all of our August birthdays. We have in the room here, let's see, Felicity and Nick and Tim. Anyone else in the room? But happy birthday to all of our August birthdays. We also have special guests in the back. Matthew. Hi, I don't know what to say hi. And then Zach just finished his real estate coursework yesterday, crushing it, testing this week. So.
Get up there, and there's Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great timing.
No.
Okay, so a lot is happening in more lending. Woo! It's been a wild couple of days,
Has
Brian.
anyone heard anything? Have we seen anything on rates? Okay, hopefully you've been somewhat heeding my calls over the last couple of weeks. I mean, obviously we had a great move down. This is just kind of maybe the cat being let out of the bag. I'm not full of hot air. Okay. So yeah, we had a great move, and we're expecting, I mean, now that it's like, we're calling for the Fed to cut by 0.5 point in September and like 6 rate cuts by January. I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but obviously the stage is now set for the Fed to cut. I mean, everyone's saying that they've waited too long. But I think just kind of a perfect storm of events last week kind of caused this, this major sell-off. Now, again, whether or not that momentum is really going to continue, there's going to be some choppiness for sure. But I mean, like the average, we're at, a year low on interest rates, and it does have definitely some momentum to continue lower. So the main bottom line here is that this obviously is causing a lot of news around this. So hopefully this is what your buyers need to get off of the fence and get back into the market, or at least start looking. And again, I'm happy to do any sort of comparison with, hey, here our budget's 500 grand. Can you do anything better? Yeah. Hey, if we buy down the rate, we cut our fees, whatever. Now we can get them to 550. It's not a new strategy, but definitely, use your in-house resource to see if we need to push somebody's budget. Happy to, cut our fees or whatnot to make something work. Those rate buy downs really can go a long way. We were looking at somebody just last week at 599, and they were so happy about that. We got them 5.625. So, I mean, unexpected, great moves in the market, and let's capitalize on that for the buyers that have been kind of on the fence. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you,
right.
Brian. I think it's important to we should all be really paying attention right now to what's going on with the overall economy, right? Because these lower rates that we have right now, I just looked this morning, it was 6.125 for the 30-year fix, but they weren't because of the Fed cut. They had to do with the 10-year treasury bonds dropping in the jobs report, right? So even though rates are lower now, it's not because of the Fed cut. So that's still
Right, and the stock market dipping is kind of a flight to quality, which are bonds, which are mortgages. So, people kind of, the luster is off of the stock market. And as that money kind of flows into a safe place, like a mortgage-backed security, that's what we need to push rates lower.
right. I love that. And then even though that there is a little volatility right now, I don't think it's it will settle here, right? So that's what a lot of the economists are predicting, that we can't get all super crazy right now in the day to day, but overall, this is definitely a turn in the right direction for mortgage rates.
It should be a kick in the pants for all of these people that are kind of on the sidelines, just waiting for the market to get better and rates to improve. Okay, use this as the signal. If we, even though it might not be perfect, it's at least enough to get buyers off of the fence.
Yes, absolutely. Great. Thanks, Brian. Okay, Robbi, you're up, girl.
Yay.
Tell us about
Okay.
what is going on in the world of compliance, and
Okay,
money, and
so-
commissions.
Couple MCA updates for you. We're gonna all kind of just go in order because I have a lot of notes here. We'll start with referrals. If you have a transaction and you were referred that transaction, so you need to pay a referral, you need to put that in as an outside referral when you enter your commissions in there, or have your TC do it.
Wait, stop. So you still put it in as an opportunity in command.
No, this is when they're getting paid. They were
When
referred.
they're getting
Yes,
paid. They
at their
just
job.
put it in commissions. I just want to make sure we're really clear.
So you have a transaction that was referred to you. You're represented buyer here.
Okay, right. I got you.
Okay, so that is an outside broker that you have to pay back a referral fee. You need to make sure you have their W-9 from their brokerage and a referral agreement uploaded in command, because I cannot pay your commission without that W-9 in there. But also you can have title pay that referral. You still have to put it into command. So if your commission is 10,000, you need to put the full commission of 10,000, then your referral fee in there, and then we'll get it paid. So if you have any questions around that, I think most people know how to do that, but if you have any outside referrals, come to me, we'll get it, you set up in command. If you refer out to someone out of state, so you're referring out, I need that referral agreement. There's no process in command for that anymore. I used to have you create an opportunity for that to track it. Now with the new system, it's just not there. They're working on something there. So if you refer someone in, a client out in Texas, so you're expecting referral income back, I need a referral agreement emailed to me, signed by me and that broker. And you're gonna have to kind of keep me updated along the process, along the way, but there's really nothing to do in command for that yet.
But what
So-
happens if you don't do that is Robbi just gets,
I have no
down the
idea.
road, we get a referral check-in
Yeah,
and
and I gotta try, it takes me days to track it down. I've got to call around and try to figure out where it goes. Then I still can't pay you until I have a referral agreement for that.
Put it into the picnic fund.
Just keep it for next year.
hold on to it.
I'm
Yeah.
actually pretty good about tracking them down. I'll track them down pretty fast, but if you can, just get me the referral agreement right away. And that guarantees that you're gonna get paid, that you're owed money for that commission, and I could track it that way. But always reach out to me if you have questions about referrals or really anything about command. And I'm gonna move on. We are seeing a lot of compliance holds. What that means is Joe and I go through and we look at your files for compliance. We are a little behind right now because of the transition between Kelly leaving us and Joe coming on. So we got a little behind, but we're seeing a lot of things that you should be catching as an agent. So, I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a lot of missed items as sellers' property disclosures. There's always a line dismiss. You should not submit that to your clients until you review it first and make sure every single line has a check mark and that has a signature on it and it has attachments if there's any attachments on there. That's the number one thing we see. And we have to have you go back to your clients. It gets really awkward, like it's already almost closing and you got to have every party adjust that at the end. We're seeing missing RMLS agent fulls in command. So you have required documents in there. It says required. You need to get all the documents in. If there's a reason you don't have it, or if it's excluded from the MLS, you need to have a document uploaded in that place saying why it's not in there in that placeholder. That's all we need, and we could approve it and move on. There's a couple compliance things. Watermarked addendums. We're seeing a lot of signed addendums from all parties with are watermarked or in progress. We can't have those. They don't fly. So
Why does that happen?
I'm not sure. I think it has to do on the agent side of not completing it all the way through zip forms. I'm not sure why
I think
it's still
just-
watermarked.
I think it's just a timeline. They've got most of it filled out and they just want to get it uploaded
Yeah.
ASAP.
Mm.
To kind of be in compliance.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need a.
That is not compliant, yeah. So no watermarked items uploaded. We're also seeing missing buyer or seller responses on counter offers or even on the offer. We'll see a signature there, but no response. So whether they accepted it or rejected it, we're seeing a lot of no responses. So that leaves your clients open to a lot of potential chaos later. And then the delivery method. If you are submitting an offer to your seller to review from a buyer, you have to put that delivery method in there. How you delivered it via email or in person and the date and time and your signature. So we're seeing that even on the counter offers, we're
counters,
seeing no delivery and we have to see that delivery date and method. So those are the biggest things I'm seeing as I'm reviewing.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head.
And it's kind of holding us up. It's holding me up from you'll pay. You have to email you guys to kind of get back into compliance and you're already closed, so it's awkward. So I'm kind of pushing things through now just to get us caught up, but really I'm not supposed to pay commissions until you're fully compliant. So help me out and help me help you guys get paid faster.
And it leaves, I mean, certain things like on the property disclosures, I mean, those can leave you open for vulnerability,
Up to
like
3 years.
you know, yeah, giving,
Yeah.
you know, buyers an opportunity to back out, all kinds of different things that it can leave you open to. So, thank you for going through that list.
Yeah.
That's good, like good reminders.
And a
There's-
rule of thumb on disclosures, it's always good to over disclose than under.
Right.
I always use, I know I said it before, but use Breeze for the seller property disclosures, because it doesn't allow you to skip any question. And then
Mhm.
you're compliant, you know.
That's a good
it's-
point.
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Fox
and that's
News is-
free
Yeah.
through
Right.
SkySlope.
Also-
So, yeah, it's great. Anyone have any questions on either submitting referrals or any of those compliance things that Robbie just went up, or anything commission actually? Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Mhm.
In the future, before command migrated over, if you submit your commissions in, but you had to change the closing date or the sales price or your commission amount before you would do a termination request, and that would come back to me and you guys can edit your offers. That termination request is actually now specifically for only if your transaction terminated, because it goes into Keller Williams reporting. It says that you lost that transaction terminated. So that is not an option to use. Once your commission's approved, you just need to email me for any changes and I can get it updated. Do not click that termination request button, because once you click it, I can't undo it. So I have to terminate it and you have to start the whole opportunity over again. And that's new. So that wasn't before. That's recent with our changes this past month. And when you do have a termination request, I am seeing your offers terminated, but no one's saying anything. So I'm going through looking at open files from months ago, and I have to email you like, what happened here? Did it extend? What's going on with it? And you tell me it terminated, but the termination agreement's not in there. The offer's still open, so you didn't click that termination request, and it just messes up all of our reporting. So if you terminate, get a termination agreement uploaded and click termination request, so we can follow it through.
And
you
then
have to
you're
start
staying,
anew again,
and then you're
or-
staying in compliance by
Yeah.
having all of your paperwork.
Yeah, that needs to
in
be
one
on if you
place.
terminate. I'm sorry, I'm going fast, but the next thing is the DAs. Most of you who've had closings in the month of July have got to see what they look like, and they're really clean and way better than the ones we had before.
The old ones, you needed like a decoder to understand.
So they were all
This
out of a
is
DOS system.
Yeah, this is nice.
So this is your commission breakdown. You're gonna get 2 copies from me. This is explaining your commission, your E&O, Yeah, stay here for a minute. It will show under E&O, the royalty you've contributed, the company dollar you contributed, and then what your 1099 is gonna look like. Any deductions will be below. This person donates to Keller Williams and KWPP Cares, which we love to see. But if you also had a TC deduction, that's gonna show there. Any other deductions will show there. So that's your detailed breakdown. And then the other one is, this has a verbiage in there. Sorry, you're here. I'm pointing. I don't know why I'm pointing because you could all see it. That's a disclaimer by Keller Williams, and that has to stay there. We can't edit it, but some states are required for the agent and broker to sign this before escrow or the lawyers can pay. That doesn't apply to Oregon and Washington. So this is just for your reference. You don't need to do anything with it when I send it to you, but this will show if you have another agent on the transaction with you within our office. So you did a deal with them and they're a co-broker within our office. You'll kind of see what they got paid, what you got paid. And then deductions are here again, but it will show everybody on that transaction's deductions. So this page gets a little confusing. So you'll see like the other person, most of you only do your own, but some people share transactions and this details everybody here. But
Okay,
yeah.
so I know there's a button for KW Cares, but what if somebody wants to sign up to start donating to
Email me.
KWPP
There's
Cares?
KWPP Cares. We have a form because I have to set that site up for you. The KW Cares is something you guys can do, but that goes to Keller Williams International, and that's an option. There's a couple options for you guys to pick who to donate to. Our KWPP Cares is not an option in there. I have to put it onto your commissions for you. So I have a form. If you want to donate to that, I'll send it to you and we'll get you set up in an automatic deduction with every transaction that you close.
And most people already know, but I just want to hit on this really quick about
What it
that.
is.
Just, yeah, so KW Cares is the Keller Williams nonprofit organization that you can contribute to, and then they help in natural disasters. Most recently, it's natural. I mean, other things too, but like when there's large community-based like destruction in need for money. So we had created our own KWPP Cares just so that we can have a little more autonomy and speed when people, our own agents, have tragedies in their lives or crises, so that they don't end up in economic hardship too. So our ALC reviews those, and most often it's not the person requesting that, it's somebody else seeing that need and requesting that for that person. So if you do see like one of our agents struggling with the hardship or like a loss or something terrible, please, reach out to one of us and we can help you, get that grant application filled out. It's pretty straightforward. And then the ALC can review it and we can have funds to that person within the same day. So that can be really helpful because KW Cares sometimes can take a little bit. There's a little bit more restrictions around your like household, like net worth, and their ability to help you. And there's a little bit more in the timing delays. So, so that's just the difference. Yes.
I want to add to that. You said this a little bit before, but they were just talking about it again a few weeks ago. If we have an agent here that has a devastating loss and they apply to KWRI for help, grant of some kind, then KWRI looks at, number one, did we contribute to it, which is why we have our own KWPP Care, so we can write a check and say, yes, we contributed to it if it's a serious cost. They use that as an indicator of whether we're committed to the cause or not. The other thing they look at is how much money have they been collecting from our office? And also how many people in the office are actually donating to KW Cares. So I would encourage you, it could be you next, right? We don't know. It could be the next. Drive out into an intersection, you get T-boned. At least contribute $5 or $10 when you have a closing, hopefully to each. Some amount to each, because it will help when we have the next big case that we need. So I would encourage everyone to do at least a minimum so that we can say 40% of our offices are contributing, or agents are contributing, and that may be more important than the amount. I don't know how they evaluate it, but they will push back on us if we're not as an office contributing. If we have an agent that needs 100,000 for something or 50,000 for something. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are there tax receipts generated at 1099 time that reflect those contributions?
Your deductions for Keller Williams, all your deductions are included in that 1099 in your end of year breakdown. So it's already been removed
Okay,
as
so
a
the
deduction for you.
Contributions to the nonprofits are included in the 1099.
Yes, yes. And you'll get a report at the end of the year that will show a list of all your deductions and how much.
Good question. Any other questions on anything like that? Tax, commission, compliance,
All of it.
referrals? What about inside referrals?
We talked about that a little bit. That's where, inside referrals. So
Yeah,
you have an
with the
agent within our
here.
office
Mhm.
referring to you. They still don't want us using the inside referral option, add them as a co-broker to the transaction. Otherwise, you who are let's say Felicity's taking on a deal, but Donna referred it to her, but Donna wants to be paid. That's an inside referral. You'll be responsible paying her company dollar and yours if you put that as an inside referral. So put her as a co-broker on the DA with you and give her her percentage. And always come to me when you have questions and I'll set it up for you, but that's the number one. Don't use that option. There is one for inside referral. Don't use it.
Okay, that one's tricky.
It is tricky and they need to get rid of it. And they need to fix it, but don't use it.
Why do they have that?
It has to do with company dollar. It all has to do with the agent that's doing the business. They think should be responsible to pay more in company dollar towards it than the other agent that is getting commission. It's Keller Williams. And most offices don't use that feature for that reason because she shouldn't be punished for helping out with that. But if you're capped, it wouldn't make a difference, but it's still
Good question, though.
just not an option we like to use here.
Okay, and Robbie will be here all week if you have any
Yes.
questions. All right, let's talk about NAR changes and the listing addendum.
I have to stand up for this one.
Yeah.
So pop quiz, last Monday I sent out a listing contract addendum, RMLS form 1250, that had two elements, key elements to it. What were those two elements?
Oh, this is fun.
Be the seller.
That's one, but with an asterisk. There was another very key element. The prime element of that document was about compensation. It was referred to as a conspicuous phrase. And what is that phrase? That your seller has to sign off on? Compensation
Mhm.
is not set by law. All fees are negotiable. That really is the main element of that document. And that is a message you're going to continue to see in a lot of seller disclosures, documents, listing agreements, et cetera, et cetera. That is the key phrase. So have that tattooed someplace, somewhere, so you remember that. The other element was obviously there was an option to put in what the agreed upon commission was to the seller. And there was a lot of confusion on that. Is that just the seller side that they're willing to pay the seller's agent, or is that combined with the BAC? And so when RMLS was positioned with that question, they said, yes. So that has now changed over the weekend. So that document, which is now only in effect for active listings between now and the 13th. So if you've got an active listing, you need that document. That has now changed. So that line item, that percentage or dollar amount is the seller contribution to the listing agent only. Okay, because on the 14th, BAC is gone from RMLS, 17th, NAR's settlement process goes into effect. So that was very confusing to a lot of people, a lot of managing brokers, and they flipped it to make it more firm that is just the listing compensation you'll get from the seller. Okay, no reference to BAC, buyer's agent's compensation. So that's on that listing contract 1250. Again, needs to be on any active listings currently until the 13th. Okay, then that document is no longer needed. So to help with this transition, right, we came up with a cheat sheet. Oh, look, here's our key dates again. 13th, active listings must have the new listing contract addendum. That's the deadline for the 13th. After that, it's no longer needed. 14th, BAC no longer published RMLS, but of course you can certainly have BAC available to be offered if requested and agreed upon. And then of course the 17th. So I've put together a cheat sheet that kind of spells out some scenarios, some what ifs and if this and if that. And we're going to go over that a little bit. And this will be some audience participation in here too. And I'm going to ask some of you maybe to read some of these first. So here this is the cheat sheet for the seller. Okay.
And you have a copy of this in front of you.
Yeah, this is what it got. Everybody has a copy of this. Oh, and before we get into this, There is a new, as I mentioned last week, there is a new listing contract coming out. It's available now, actually. I know it's in Sky Slope. I heard yesterday it's not in zip forms yet. But it's the new listing contract. And it's pulled out all reference to any compensation, any BAC, any compensation to a buyer's agent. That has been removed from that document. So again, that is only going to be exclusively between you and your seller. No need to worry or be concerned about the buyer and the buyer's agent. That would be a separate agreement, which you may see the outcome of that in an offer once you get one on your listing. David?
If it's just, is it just a conversation between the seller and the listing agent, or is it formalized anywhere on paper?
Conversation about what? I mean, a conversation about what?
What will be offered to the buyers?
That is definitely a conversation, and I'll probably intertwine conversation and compensation a lot there. I already just tripped up twice there. So that conversation about compensation needs to happen and how that's going to be addressed and at what position that seller is going to take. Are they going to say, yes, I'm willing to offer 2%? Okay, well, we may want to put that in the additional provisions of the listing contract. Seller agrees to pay up to 2% or will pay 2%.
So it gets.
Or the seller could say, you know what, let's see what happens. Let's see what comes in an offer. I'm not willing to commit yet. Let's see what's written into an offer. Okay. So this is all new territory. There may be scenarios we're not even thinking about yet, but they will certainly occur.
So you have like a general conversation with the seller about what they, theoretically might be willing to offer, and then you write it down when it's appropriate to do.
Yeah, and you want to have that conversation about, you're probably going to have a request in a sales contract asking for compensation. How do you feel about that?
Right.
You may have one that has offering the buyer to cover the buyer's closing costs and prepays. How do you feel about that? Are you open to that? Here's what I've seen in the past, but I don't know what we're going to see in the future. So you can advise
That's when the
them.
list, not like when the offer comes in. Don't wait that.
I was just, yeah, you're setting
Yeah,
the
of course, that's what-
expectations, but the earlier you set those expectations, then the less awkward that conversation is and the easier those conversations
Right.
are later. And wait, before you get into these scenarios, I just want to go, so if you were going to a listing appointment like today, you could either use the old listing agreement and the addendum or the
Correct.
new listing agreement.
Correct.
And if you use the new one, you don't need the addendum.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone got that?
So let's get into the cheat sheet here and so we're gonna look at the seller side first. Okay, so if the listing at RMLS, now this is gonna be short term, this is only through the 13th or 14th. Listing at RMLS has an amount in the BAC field, so they're publishing an amount. If the buyer submits an offer with ORF 048, and we know what that is, so section 8 of the listing contract has an option in there. Are you gonna be asking the seller to contribute towards either BAC or closing costs or buyer's closing costs? You have a yes or no, and you have to attach it 048. Okay. If a buyer submits an offer with 048 seller contribution addendum with the amount of the advertised BAC on it, seller should reject that addendum. Okay, that is because the listing firm is already contracted to pay the buyer's agent's firm based on that offer compensation in the RMLS, and the seller should not be contributing anything. So it's already, as soon as you've accepted, they're the procuring cause, as soon as you've accepted that sales contract, that BAC is in place. There's no need for additional compensation requests above that. Okay,
That's kind of tricky.
it is tricky, and we will be tripped up on it. Okay, so the BAC is published, that's it, that's the cap. Once your offer is accepted, the BAC applies to the buyer's agent. No more is needed, you don't need 048.
What would happen if if both sides sign the seller contribution addendum for like 2.5%, and then there's also a BAC offer for 2.5%, and then they had a buyer agent agreement for 2.5%, would they get 5% or 2.5%?
No, so you're saying the seller is contributing 2.5, the buyer's asking for 2.5 towards their buyer's agent fee?
Yes, but it's also offered in the listing.
Okay, well, that listing will supersede all those other requests in that scenario. Whatever's published as BAC. Now, again, that's only gonna be there till the 14th.
So it would count as an additional.
No, it's not an additional contribution. You would reject that 048
Okay.
and just call that buyer's agent, say, no, it's already published. You're already getting the 2.5 on a successful close of the property.
We were using the seller contribution addendum and there was verbiage that we were putting in the remarks, say that it's one and the same as what was offered on the arm list. At least that's what I've been doing, because
So you're just writing that I'm agreeing, I've notified you have acknowledged that the BAC is 2.5 on your 048 and you submit it back.
yeah.
Are you
because we
checking
told-
yes and then putting 2.5 and then say as published in RMLS? I would probably let that go. That's fine, because you're acknowledging what's already been established. Kevin, did you have a question?
Yeah, so what about moving forward past the 17th? And there is an advertised BAC, not in the MLS, but like
Oh, good
on a
question.
website, assigned somewhere else. How binding is that?
That is, well, you'll have to call as the buyer's agent, you'll have to call and say, hey, I saw a flyer that you're offering 2.5. Is that still in effect?
So not
it-
binding until it's written.
Until the offer is accepted. Now, in that case, you use a different form. You're gonna use form 090. And that is a broker, that's a broker to broker form that acknowledges that this is what's been offered by the seller. And the buyer's agent is agreeing to that. It's 090, and that's just, and then that is not your broker demand, but that is just just confirming what the offer is and what the agent's accepting that offer, that amount. Okay,
The agreement is between brokers.
it's between brokers, so brokerage is offering 2.5, receiving broker, buyer's agent's brokerage says yes, and that has to be signed by me. So it's broker to broker acknowledgement of the commission that's being offered and accepted. It is not a broker demand that would go to escrow.
And then do you still put that as, is there an addendum to the sales contract or anything in the sales contract about that, or is it just totally
It
separate?
would be, you would have 048 in there. Okay, because you're asking the seller to pay that unadvertised in RMLS, but advertised in additional marketing amount. Yeah, you check the section 8, you check the box yes, and then you attach 048. And with that amount, then you use 090 to confirm that again, that amount. So it's a supplemental document to confirm what was offered originally by the seller.
So if there is in the, I don't know the form number, but the seller contribution form, if we do that and it's signed, we still have to have the broker form.
Yes, that'll, because that's not advertised. So you'll need that 090.
So you would need 090 before you did the offer then, because it's not part of the offer.
Yeah, you want to probably include that in the offer, the 090, because that's what you've discussed on the phone or, however you communicated. So submit that with the offer. It's kind of repetitive, but that's kind of where we are right now. Okay.
I think the point on that is, you see a flyer in a house that says, seller's willing to pay 2.5, you see it on the sign, or you see it on the website, that is not a contract,
Correct.
right? You could write an offer and the seller could say, with this offer, I'm willing to take it, but I'm only gonna pay 0, and you're out of the commission. So follow what he's saying, it has to be written in the sales agreement for it to be binding. Anything published is not binding, there's no contract, it's not signed by everybody. But just think about that, you have to get it on the form and it's gotta be signed for you to get paid.
So two scenarios as I see it, you've got something that's been published with a BAC. And then you're gonna use this form to confirm in writing that that's what the seller's willing to pay,
Mhm.
or. Nothing's been advertised, you don't know what that seller is or isn't willing to pay, and you're just writing it as part of your negotiation.
That's where you would use 048. With your offer,
But you don't need that form because there's nothing,
Right.
you don't know.
correct.
And if you call and talk to a realtor and they say, yes, they're willing to pay, you're still gonna write that into your offer.
That is correct.
And then once everybody agrees or disagrees.
Then it's
whatever.
binding, as I said, yes.
If
And-
you don't know what it is, just use 084, but if you had a conversation, use 090 and 084.
No, so you don't know what the compensation is?
Yeah. It's
So
not advertised.
you've had a conversation with the seller, the listing agent,
Yeah.
and they.
They say make your
just say,
best offer.
Just make your best offer.
Yeah.
048.
I mean, once the seller signs that, that's binding, right? So you don't have to, it sounds like the other form is a little kind of.
That's just to qualify and quantify what the offer originally was. So I think that 090 probably will eventually go away,
Yeah.
but until then, we need to use it. And again, it'll be a case by case scenario. So just, if you want to chat with me, we can navigate that. They're somewhat repetitive. Okay, but it's just because of the vagary of what the amount may be talked about with the list of seller versus what they actually want to provide, maybe two different numbers, once an offer comes in.
Right. And there, we're going to be working through these different scenarios because it really does help paint the picture of like, okay, in this scenario and that scenario. And then so for the next 2 weeks before, at this meeting, before the changes go into play, we're going to have more conversations about, okay, what are you guys are actually experiencing? And I mean, these forms are changing nonstop, right? So we're going to keep this going. Yeah.
Just to reiterate, even if you talk to a listing agent and he says the seller is willing to pay, that is not a contract.
Yep.
That's a verbal, in real estate, it has to be in writing. We can't close on a verbal and expect to be paid. There's nothing we can do. Doesn't matter. There's no one for us to call. They can change their mind. Get it in writing. Always get it in writing in our business.
Okay, so if the buyer submits an offer with ORF 048 with an amount less than the advertised BAC, so BAC's, let's say it's 2.5 and submit an offer 2, a conversation with the buyer's agent is needed. Is the lesser amount the total the buyer's agent can collect under a broker buyer representation agreement? 048 seller contribution addendum is not needed then. An agreement to modify the commission between the two firms should be completed to reduce the BAC to the amount of the BRA. That's when 090 would come into play. Okay,
Okay, let's
you're
use-
reducing, so I
Let's
asked
do
for
a real.
2, but it's published 2.5. I can't, I'm not, for the principle of the settlement, you really don't want to go back and ask your buyer, hey, can I ask for that other 0.5%? Okay, but you could ask the seller to provide that 0.5% towards buyer's closing cost and prepays. You could say, hey, since I'm not taking the full 2.5, because my BRA was only 2, would you consider contributing that 0.5 point to my buyer's closing costs and prepays?
At least give them the benefit.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Bradley.
You have that.
in that case, so you have to modify the listing agreement to reduce the.
Not the listing agreement, but you have to just again quantify that 090. The fact is you're getting less, or you're not getting what the published amount was. You're getting less. So-
Seller, though, right?
The seller, both agents and both principal brokers sign off on that form 090.
But wouldn't the seller too, because well, like if it's 2.5 and 2.25, wouldn't you have to reduce the total amount?
Well, because the seller doesn't really know what your buyer.
Right, and the seller could say no to that extra. They said, no, we could be fine at 2%. I'm fine with 2%.
But then wouldn't the listing agent get the rest of it?
Yeah, you probably have an addendum saying that the seller has reduced the commission based on the offer that was acknowledged and accepted.
But if you don't have the addendum, then the total commission is still taken in this stream,
Not, the buyer doesn't get the full commission.
but the sellers.
But
The sellers.
well, that would be up to the seller and the listing agent to see who gets that extra 0.5%.
No, because from now on, the listing agreements, you're stating from the get-go, I'm taking whatever percentage, and so you're not.
But this would be an advertised VAC, so it would be the oldest here.
it's
Yeah,
separate.
scenario is advertised. So that's a conversation with the listing agent as to what you want to do with that extra 0.5%, that's extra point, 0.5 point that's floating out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to contribute it to the buyer side? Closing costs prepays? You want to, just you keep it? Do you want to give it to me? Add it,
But if it's already in the listing agreement, doesn't it go to the agents?
not if they're asking for less. The
You're
buyer.
getting that there's a bulk number right now.
Yeah. Like,
There's not a bulk number.
I
It's-
get from you.
Yeah.
Now, again, these scenarios are, again, this is only till the 13th.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Yeah.
we won't have,
So you would recommend everyone just start using the new listing agreement?
I think
as soon
that
as
makes the
possible,
most
right?
sense right now. But again, this is mostly for those of you that have active listings going on.
Don't you have to be really careful from a financial standpoint, to put your seller's money on the hook? If a buyer's agent comes to you and says, hey, I think I'm worth X%. And now you're saying, the buyer agent comes to you with 2% fee, and you have a 2.5% agreement. Well, you gotta be real careful with your seller's fiduciary responsibility, you just gave up an extra 0.5%, that buyer's agent doesn't think they're worth.
You can always propose anything in a document, in a contract, an addendum. It's just whether the parties have usually agreed to that, whatever that financial change may be.
Mhm.
We just have to agreement on paper.
Do you know when we have all of these, the new listing agreement?
The new listing agreement is in, I know it's in Sky Slope. and I will send out the listing agreement to everybody at the conclusion of this meeting. Okay? All right, are we? Yeah, again, I'm learning on the fly as much as a lot of you are too, because it just comes in and then I try to get it out, so.
And in the
Okay,
next like 2 weeks, there's gonna be a lot more wonky situations
Yeah.
because it's like, it was published, then and use the old listing agreement and all these, like. Once we get all past this, it will be a little smoother, but there's gonna be a lot more what if scenarios in this next like 2 week span.
so back on the subject of the addendum, the amount less than the advertised BAC, that's the offer coming in. Is the lesser amount making up the difference between the advertised BAC and the higher amount on the BRA? 048 should only reflect the difference the seller is agreeing to pay, since the listing firm will be paying the BAC. Okay, so is the lesser amount, okay? You're coming in at 2, it's advertised at 2.5. Is the lesser amount making up the difference between the advertised BAC and the higher amount on the BRA? 048 should only reflect the difference the seller is agreeing to pay, since the listing firm will be paying the BAC. Okay. Okay. Listings with no BAC in RMLS.
Yeah.
If the seller has marketed the property offering seller contributions, those contributions are only binding on the seller if they are in the sale agreement and the seller accepts.
Oh, there you go.
Now, a new verbiage has been allowed now in RMLS. Before they said you couldn't do this, but now they said you can put in the private remarks, call LA for considerations, for seller considerations.
You can say
You can
that.
put that in private remarks. Please call LA for seller considerations. You don't want to say compensation. You want to say considerations, because it may go up beyond just the BAC. Okay, so you can put that in private remarks. So that's one that they've changed their process on. Okay, so if an offer is received without or 048 contribution to debt, confirm with the buyer's agent that the buyer will be paying the buyer agent compensation. Okay, so you get an offer, there's no 048. You want to call the buyer, a seller, confirm with the buyer's agent that the buyer will be paying the buyer agent compensation. Okay, if listing firm has marketed co-op compensation to a buyer's agent, a broker to broker agreement is needed to have an enforceable agreement for compensation. Or if 090 buyer broker compensation is a tool to notify escrow, but does not have the required elements to be a broker agreement. What that means is that's for the transaction. It's not a broker demand. It's just to quantify and clarify what the commission has been promoted and what's being accepted, what's been marketed, and what will be received by the buyer agent brokerage. Okay. Now let's go to the buyer side commission cheat sheet. So the listing in the RMLS has an amount in the BAC field that covers the amount the buyer will pay under the BRA in full. Okay, so you've got a BRA with a buyer, you've got a commission amount. The listing is the same as that amount. Print that agent full report in RMLS the day you write the offer. No further addendum is needed. Document or agreement is needed. You do not need to submit 048. All right, the accepted sale agreement triggers the fact that you're the procuring cause, triggers the fact you'll get that published BAC. Okay, so that is until the 13th, 14th in RMLS. Okay, so the listing in RMLS has an amount in the BAC field that is less than the amount the buyer will pay under BRA, under their buyer representation agreement. So this is less. Print the agent full report in RMLS the day you write the offer. Ask your buyer if they want to ask the seller to pay the difference. Okay, you're at 2.5. BAC being offered is 2. If yes, if the seller says yes, please ask for that difference to be compensated. Mark yes to section 8 on the sale agreement and attach 048. Addendum asking the seller to contribute the difference only, not the gross amount. It's the difference you're asking. So you'd be asking for 0.5%, 0.5. Okay. Not the full amount to justify what the BRA says, the difference only. The listing firm will be paying the BAC and RMLS, and the seller will make up the difference, so the buyer does not have to pay your firm anything. Now, if the seller says, marks no on section 8 of the sale agreement, do not attach form 048, the buyer is either going to make up the difference or you and the buyer are going to modify your BRA. Okay, so if the seller says no, you got to go back to your original BRA agreement. Ask the seller, can we modify this? Will you pay me more to take care of what has been agreed upon?
And if they are gonna contribute it, do they just like bring a check to closing?
Yeah, they'll have to, you'll have to have an addendum that says they will be paying the additional amount.
Mhm.
And that'll be a representation agreement addendum. And then that will be obviously submitted to escrow and they will take care of that at the closing table.
So
Okay.
Are they not, did they get their number that they've got agreed? I mean, is that part, does that need dispersed by escrow or do they need for a separate check?
That'll be a debit to them and a credit to the brokerage.
So it
That
would be
difference.
partially- So when they get that, we need to bring in $328,000, that's included in that amount and escrow will disperse.
Correct.
Okay.
Escrow will take care of that. And then if there's no BAC in the RMLS and the buyer wants to ask the seller to contribute some or all, okay, no BAC in RMLS. Mark yes to section 8 on the ORF sale agreement, attach 048 seller contribution addendum, asking the seller to contribute the amount the buyer is requesting. So that's the simplest way. You just put what you want. This buyer is going to tell you, yes, you can ask, let's ask for them. Let's propose that they're going to cover your brokerage amount. If it's accepted in the sale agreement and sign off, then that will go toward you. So only once the sale agreement is agreed upon. So again, lots of different things, lots of different nuances, probably going to continue to change. We'll keep you abreast of those as fast as we get that knowledge. But we have a number of cases. Please feel free to call me at any time to talk these things out, to walk them out. I know it's a little bit of an overload, but we're here to help. And I certainly have the time for each and every one of you that has those questions and those concerns. Okay.
Mhm.
Any other-
Okay, and we're gonna keep talking about the real
Yeah.
life scenarios that you guys are.
So, and next week, we're gonna go over the buyer representation agreements, okay? And we'll spend an hour on that, and then the following week, we'll have additional information as well. I'll be doing some deep diving on that, so, again, we're here for you, I'm here for you, just give me a call, we can talk these things out, okay?
Thank you, Joe.
All right,
And then NAR and PMAR and Oregon Realtors have a ton of great resources. You guys should be getting the emails from like PMAR with the different classes, and most of them are free CE credit online classes on a lot of these changes. So if you're interested in just some other resources, you want to be really confident, scan the QR code.
yeah, these pages are kind of one-stop shops, they'll have a variety of video, documents, learning tools, things of that nature. The Realtor one, the NAR one is a great fact sheet that is very simple, very easy to explain about what your position is, what your proposition, offer propositions, and how this will navigate through these times right now until we get between now and the 17th. And, by the end of the year, this will be old hat. We'll be pretty much on cruise control. We should all be pretty comfortable with the process. But these first couple of weeks will be a little challenging, but we'll get through it. We'll be fine.
Yes, so be confident. We're getting through this. Let the loser agents panic and, run away from it, right? We're charging the storm. Yeah, what the, oh gosh, what's it? The one kind of there's one kind of buffalo that charges it toward the storm. What is it? What's the one kind of buffalo? The raging buffalo.
No,
Who knows about, anyways,
I know.
we're that buffalo. Okay, round of applause for Robbi and Joe. Thank you guys. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you this week with the CE class in the picnic, and have a great day. Good work, you guys.